They should be respected.
Reclaiming my time. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like 40 seconds
I've seen
back on
my
the clock.
constituents die in battle.
Piece of legislation and voting on whether this nation is going to be all in on a new nuclear arms race.
There's a hearing that you can't be at, your counsel can't be present, you haven't been charged with the crime. The Second Amendment says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The number of so-called assault rifles, what you all are calling assault rifles, had doubled.
I'd also like to address the House on an issue that occurred yesterday in Maine, another assault weapon.
For years, the Democrats told us we're not coming for your guns. Oh, yes, they are.
Political context. In recent political shifts, Virginia swung blue, with Democrats seizing control of both the House of Delegates and the Senate. It was a tidal wave change that came with promises of legislative action on various fronts, including revisiting gun control measures. This shift marked a pivotal moment for a state historically known for its strong support of Second Amendment rights. Now, against this changed political landscape, the Democrats have reignited the conversation around gun control. Their control over the legislative bodies provided them with the platform and opportunity to push forward bills aimed at tightening firearm regulations. This resurgence has sparked considerable debate and emotions among Virginians, particularly those passionate about their right to bear arms. The Democratic-led efforts to reintroduce gun control bills, notably HB 2 and SB 2 in Virginia, have drawn a line in the sand. It's a stark reminder of the power shift and the impact it can have on policymaking, especially on issues as deeply rooted and divisive as gun rights. For many, this revival of gun control legislation represents a long-anticipated move, aligned with the Democratic Party's platform. It's seen as an attempt to address what they perceive as loopholes and lax regulations surrounding firearms. However, for others, especially staunch supporters of Second Amendment rights, this development raises concerns about potential infringements on their freedoms. The political context is crucial here. It's not just about policy changes, but also about the ideological clash between differing visions of governance. The Democratic control in Virginia has paved the way for the reemergence of these bills, reigniting the age-old debate between individual rights and public safety. In this charged atmosphere, each side amplifies its arguments, citing statistics, anecdotes, and constitutional interpretations to support their stance. It's a battleground of ideologies, where the outcome of legislative decisions holds immense significance, not just for Virginia, but potentially as a symbolic precedent for other states across the nation. Ultimately, the political context shapes the discourse around these gun control bills. It underscores the power dynamics within the legislative chambers and the weight of political ideology on policy formulation. This rekindled focus on gun control in Virginia is proof of the influence of elections on the direction of state policies, particularly on contentious issues like firearms regulation.
They should be respected.
Reclaiming my time. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like 40 seconds
I've seen
back on
my
the clock.
constituents die in battle.
Piece of legislation and voting on whether this nation is going to be all in on a new nuclear arms race.
There's a hearing that you can't be at, your counsel can't be present, you haven't been charged with the crime.
Citizen resistance. Picture this: Richmond, Virginia buzzing with energy as nearly 22,000 folks from all walks of life descended upon the streets, united by one big idea: hands off our guns. It wasn't your average stroll, it was a protest on steroids, a roar of voices echoing for blocks, shouting out their love for the Second Amendment. This rally wasn't just a picnic, it was a bold, loud statement. People carried signs as big as billboards, shouting slogans that could be heard from miles away. But here's the kicker: it was peaceful, organized chaos. No shoving, no chaos, just a sea of passionate voices demanding to be heard. Now, what made this march so epic? It wasn't just the sheer numbers, it was the passion, the fire in people's bellies. Picture a blend of gun aficionados, everyday folks, and staunch defenders of constitutional rights, all marching arm in arm. It was a melting pot of voices, all chanting the same thing: "Don't tread on us." But here's the kicker: beyond the crowds and catchy chants, this march packed a political punch. It wasn't just a stroll, it was a bold message to lawmakers. Hey, listen up, we're not on board with these gun control ideas. It showed that a massive chunk of Virginia wasn't having it, sending a clear signal to politicians that public opinion matters a lot. And let's not forget the ripple effect. This wasn't just a one-day gig, it was a movement in the making. It was like a spark that lit a fire in the hearts of folks who shared a common cause. It was a rallying cry, reminding everyone that when people band together for a shared belief, they can move mountains. In a nutshell, the Richmond March wasn't just a parade, it was a bold, colorful reminder that folks are ready to stand up and fight for what they believe in. It was a showcase of the power of unity, a reminder that when people join forces, their voices become a force that can't be ignored. HB2 and SB2. Let's dive deeper into the HB2 and SB2 bills. These are like the headlines of Virginia's gun control saga, creating a stir that's hard to ignore. House Bill 2 and Senate Bill 2 are more than just random numbers. They're the talk of the town, proposing some serious changes to Virginia's firearm regulations. HB2 steps up to the plate with a bold move, an all-out ban on attack weapons. That means those semi-auto rifles and pistols with certain characteristics that make gun control advocates break out in a sweat. It's like drawing a line in the sand saying, sorry folks, these firearms are off limits. On the other hand, we've got SB2. This bill takes aim at mags, not the glossy pages you flip through, but the ones holding bullets. SB2's got its sights set on those mags that can pack more rounds than your average Joe might feel comfortable with. It's a cap on the number of bullets these mags can hold, a move aimed at curbing the firepower available at one go. What's got everyone buzzing is that these bills aren't gathering dust in some forgotten corner of the legislature. Nope, they're fresh off the press, filed recently and stirring the pot faster than Grandma's secret recipe. They've hit the scene like a thunderclap, grabbing attention and stirring up discussions faster than you can say gun control. And let's talk focus. These bills don't beat around the bush. They're laser focused on firearm restrictions. It's not about baby steps. It's a full-on sprint toward reshaping the gun laws in Virginia. The target? To bid adieu to specific firearms and mag capacities, ushering in a new era where certain arms are no longer up for grabs. Imagine these bills as the heavyweight contenders in a political ring. They're not just pieces of paper, they're potential game changers. The impact? It's not just in the fine print, it's in the way they're sparking debates, dividing opinions, and making folks sit up and take notice. So, buckle up. Let's get even more specific. Picture semi-auto rifles with folding, telescoping, or collapsible stocks, or those flaunting pistol grips that stick out like a sore thumb. And that's not all. It includes additional features like second-hand grips, grenade launchers, yep, you read that right, flare launchers, sound suppressors, flash suppressors, muzzle brakes, or compensators. It's like a laundry list of characteristics that, if your firearm checks off, might put it in the attack firearm category. But wait, there's a twist! The proposed definition also offers exemptions. It's not a blanket ban on every firearm under the sun. Antique firearms that have been permanently made inoperable get a pass. Also, firearms operated manually, think bolt action or lever action, and those manufactured before July 1 of 2024 are off the hook. So what's the bottom line? These bills aim to draw a line in the sand, outlining specific in the realm of attack firearms in Virginia. Gun Buyback Program Proposal. Alright, let's dive into the proposed gun buyback program. It's like a buy one get one deal, but with firearms. So picture this. The proposed gun buyback program aims to provide an avenue for folks to surrender their firearms, especially those that fall under the attack firearm category as outlined in the bills. It's like a trade-off. Hand in your firearm and you might get some cash in return. Now, the structure is pretty straightforward. If these bills pass, the program would kick off, inviting individuals to voluntarily surrender their firearms, especially those that fit the criteria outlined in the proposed legislation. It's an initiative aimed at reducing the number of specific firearms in circulation, aligning with the goal of tighter gun regulations. But here's the kicker: there's a twist in the disposal process. Typically, surrendered firearms might end up being auctioned off by authorities after certain procedures. However, the proposed change in this program suggests that surrendered firearms, especially those classified as attack firearms under the new regulations, might not hit the auction block. Instead, they'd be slated for destruction by the local authorities, unless the owner explicitly requests otherwise. This shift in the disposal of surrendered firearms is a significant change. Usually, surrendered firearms might find their way back into circulation through auctions, but under these proposed regulations, it's a different ballgame. It's like a one-way ticket for certain firearms. They'd head straight for dismantling or destruction, eliminating the possibility of re-entering the market. So, the goal is clear. The buyback program aims to encourage individuals to surrender firearms that might be impacted by the proposed legislation. It's a step toward reducing the number of specific firearms in circulation and altering the usual fate of surrendered guns by redirecting them away from potential resale or reintegration into the market.
The most popular handgun in the United States that was purchased is a Glock 19.
In the Heller case, the Supreme Court made clear that the Second Amendment protects firearms in common use.
Importation, sale, and possession. The bills in question carry a significant weight, aiming to put the brakes on certain firearms deemed as attack firearms as per their outlined criteria. These proposed regulations are like a safety net, designed to limit various facets of dealing with these specific firearms within the state. Importation, sale, and transfer of attack firearms would be a big no-no under these bills. It's like drawing a line in the sand, saying, hey, these firearms aren't welcome here, and you can't be passing them around or selling them off to others. Additionally, possessing attack firearms with the defined characteristics would also be tightly restricted. But here's where things get serious. Violating these proposed restrictions come with a hefty price tag. Anyone caught importing, selling, manufacturing, purchasing, possessing, transporting, or transferring attack firearms, as specified in the bills, could be slapped with a Class 1 misdemeanor. Now let's unpack what a Class 1 misdemeanor means in Virginia. It's no minor offense. It's a serious legal matter that could lead to severe consequences. Offenders might face fines reaching up to thousands of dollars and potentially even time behind bars. It's like a warning sign flashing in bright neon lights, signaling the strictness and gravity of these proposed regulations. Essentially, these restrictions aren't just suggestions. They carry the weight of the law. They're aimed at curbing the presence and circulation of specific firearms within Virginia's borders, and the penalties associated with violating these restrictions act as a deterrent, highlighting the significant consequences awaiting anyone who disregards these proposed regulations. In essence, these bills aren't just about curbing firearm sales. They're about redefining the rules around certain firearms and sending a clear message that non-compliance won't be taken lightly. They're a pivotal piece of legislation, emphasizing the seriousness of the proposed changes to Virginia's firearm laws. Exemptions. Now let's unpack the exemptions proposed for law enforcement, government agents, and military personnel under these bills and how they shape firearm rights in Virginia. The proposed legislation comes with a notable exemption clause, giving a free pass to law enforcement, government agents, and military personnel when it comes to the restrictions placed on attack firearms. This exemption is like a carve-out, explicitly stating that these individuals and entities are exempted from the limitations imposed on civilians regarding certain firearms. Now here's where the discrepancy in firearm rights becomes evident. While civilians might face strict regulations and prohibitions regarding the importation, sale, possession, and transfer of firearms falling under the attack firearm category, law enforcement officers, government agents, and military members aren't subjected to these same restrictions. This exemption creates a clear distinction in firearm rights between civilians and these exempted groups. It essentially grants these individuals and entities the privilege to possess and use firearms that might fall under the specified criteria without facing the same limitations or consequences as civilians. The rationale behind these exemptions often revolves around the nature of duties and responsibilities carried out by law enforcement, government agents, and military personnel. Their roles might necessitate access to certain firearms for purposes of public safety, law enforcement, or national security, justifying their exemption from the same restrictions placed on civilians. However, this discrepancy in firearm rights can raise questions and concerns among civilians who may perceive it as unequal treatment under the law. It can spark debates about the fairness and necessity of such exemptions, especially when it comes to delineating who has access to certain firearms and who doesn't under the proposed regulations. In essence, while the bills propose strict restrictions on civilians regarding certain firearms, exemptions for law enforcement, government agents, and military personnel create a notable divide in firearm rights, highlighting differing privileges based on professional roles and responsibilities.
The Second Amendment says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The number of so-called assault rifles, what you all are calling assault rifles, had doubled.
Age limit revision. All right, let's unpack this whole raising the age for gun ownership to 21 situation in Virginia. It's like stirring a pot of controversy and concerns, all wrapped up in a debate about rights, responsibilities, and safety. So here's the deal. Some folks are saying, hey, let's bump up the minimum age for owning a firearm to 21. Their angle? Safety first. They argue that those under 21 might not have the full maturity or judgment needed for responsible gun ownership. They're waving the safety flag, saying this move could help dodge potential risks with younger folks getting their hands on firearms. But you know what? This idea isn't getting a round of applause from everyone. There's a whole chorus of objections to this tune. Picture this. Legal adults aged 18 to 20 who can vote, serve in the military, and carry other adult responsibilities are being told, sorry, no guns for you. It's like a double take. Adulting in some areas, but hitting a roadblock when it comes to Second Amendment rights. And here's the kicker. Skeptics are throwing shade on the effectiveness of this move. Turns out, most firearm-related crimes involve older individuals. So the big question is, will raising the age limit actually put a dent in gun violence rates? It's like questioning if we're barking up the wrong tree. Then there's the fairness factor. Why can someone legally make big life decisions but can't own a firearm? It's like having different rule books for adulthood, creating a whole lot of confusion and inconsistencies. It's enough to make anyone scratch their head and wonder what's going on with the age rule book. Plus, this change could hit folks who were responsibly handling firearms within their legal rights. Think hunting, shooting sports, or self-defense. Those could be off limits for some individuals who were doing everything by the book but are now caught in this age limit crossfire. Some say, instead of just focusing on age, maybe it's time to shine a light on education and training. Give everyone, no matter the age, solid knowledge about firearm handling and safety. It's like giving folks the tools they need to handle firearms responsibly, regardless of their age bracket. In a nutshell, this whole age bump for firearm ownership, it's a roller coaster of debates. It's like trying to balance safety concerns with individual rights and responsibilities. While safety is a top priority, there's a whole crew questioning whether this move hits the bullseye or misses the mark when it comes to making a real dent in gun safety. It's a debate that's firing up opinions from all angles, leaving folks scratching their heads about where the line should be drawn between rights, safety, and age.
You say that crime went down, but did you know that the sales of the so-called assault weapons went up?
3-round burst or semi-automatic. Those firearms are not allowed for purchase in the United States today.
Urging citizen involvement. Hey there, Virginians! It's time to roll up those sleeves and get your voices heard because your opinion matters, especially when it comes to the proposed changes in firearm laws. So here's the deal. Your legislators need to hear from you. They need to know where you stand on these proposed changes, and the best way to make that happen? Reach out and speak up. First things first, figure out who your legislators are. There's this nifty tool online where you can punch in your info and boom, it tells you who's representing you in the legislative arena. It's like your GPS to find the right people to talk to about your concerns. Next up, once you've got those names, it's time to make some noise. Send them an email, pick up the phone and give them a call, or even schedule a meeting if you're feeling extra motivated. Tell them what's on your mind, why you're concerned, and what you'd like to see happen. Now here's the key. Be clear, concise, and respectful. Explain your thoughts, share your worries about the proposed changes, and don't forget to mention why it matters to you. You're not just a name on a list. You're a concerned citizen with a voice that deserves to be heard. Oh, and don't stop there. Spread the word. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your dog. Okay, maybe not the dog, but you get the idea. Encourage others to reach out too. The more voices chiming in, the harder it is to ignore the collective concern. And guess what? Social media is your friend in this game. Share information, start discussions, and rally others to join in. Tag your legislators in your posts. It's like a digital megaphone that can amplify your message and catch their attention. Remember, this isn't about stirring up chaos. It's about making sure your representatives truly understand where you stand on these proposed changes. You're advocating for what you believe in, and that's what democracy's all about. Your voice shaping the decisions that affect your community. So, Virginians, it's time to grab that phone, compose that email, and let your legislators know what's on your mind. Your involvement can make a difference, and together, you can ensure that your concerns are heard loud and clear in the halls of power. Get out there and make your voices count.
I'd also like to address the House on an issue that occurred yesterday in Maine. Another assault weapon.
For years, the Democrats told us we're not coming for your guns. Oh, yes, they are.
Permit concerns and misdemeanor convictions. All right, buckle up, because we're diving deep into the whole shebang about these proposed rules for scoring a concealed carry permit in Virginia. Picture this. You're eyeing that permit, planning to discreetly carry, and suddenly your past misdemeanors might just toss a spanner in the works. So what's the deal? These rules say if you've stacked up 2 or more misdemeanors in the 5 years before waving your hand for that permit, well, hold your horses. That might put a dent in your plans. But wait, there's more. If any of those misdemeanors happen to be a Class 1, like the head honcho of misdemeanors, that could be curtains for your permit dreams. And even if they're not all top-tier misdemeanors, judges still have the power to give you the thumbs down if they think it's a no-go zone. Now, these misdemeanors, they're like the B-list offenses in the legal world. Less serious than felonies, more like the small fry of lawbreaking. But here's the catch. Folks are scratching their heads and saying, hold up, should we toss everyone in the same boat? Is it fair to slam the door on permits for just any old misdemeanor? Others are waving the fairness flag saying, whoa there, shouldn't we take a closer look at each case? What went down? Why it went down? Shouldn't that count? But it's not just about permits, it's about rights and freedoms too. Some are fretting that these rules could put a damper on someone's right to defend themselves or simply carry discreetly. It's like throwing up hurdles, even if someone's misdemeanors weren't exactly about causing chaos or being a menace. But hold on, because here's the flip side of the coin, safety first. Supporters are shouting from the rooftop. Misdemeanors might not even be close to serious crimes. They could be minor slips, like traffic violations or minor altercations. Should that be a red flag for saying no to someone's concealed carry plans? On the other hand, supporters are standing firm on the safety platform. They're waving the safety banner high, arguing that these rules ensure that only the responsible folks are packing heat under the radar. At the end of the day, it's a whole tangled web of debates and arguments about balancing safety precautions with individual rights. It's like trying to navigate a maze where everyone's trying to figure out the best way to keep folks safe while not slamming the door on someone's right to carry based on a couple of misdemeanor blips on their record. It's a wild ride of discussions and debates, and figuring out where the line should be drawn between keeping things safe and honoring individual rights in this concealed carry permit conundrum.
To a member on the Democratic side that served in a combat area designated zone and deployment of our country.
And they're coming for your firearms. 6 weeks ago, it was the red flag law.
That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.